Hello and welcome. I'm your host Sholo Q, and today I'll be going over dev update number 30 for V Rising, the Heart of Oakvale. So the devs put out this post today. I haven't had a chance to really look at it, so we're going to go over it together and see what they have in store for us. Welcome, vampires, to another dev update. With April 28th, the release of patch 1.1, Invaders of Oakvale fast approaching, we thought this might be the perfect time to learn a little bit more about the story of Megara the Serpent Queen, the Venom Blades, and the forests they have sunk their fangs into, the Oakvale Woodlands. So for those of you looking to know your enemy, this is the perfect opportunity to learn a little bit more about Vardoran's newest threat. Where to, strange traveler? And it looks like there is a new map. So we finally have a new map revealed here as far as Oakvale. Now, if we zoom in here, actually, you know what? Let me open up this in another tab. If we zoom in here and we look closely, it looks like we have a couple of plots here. So that's kind of interesting. The silver mines here from Silverlight are probably about here. This plot is still up here, so it looks like they just kind of like branched out and then just added a plot here and a plot here, so that's kind of interesting. And then this raised area here also looks like a potential plot. Not sure about this over here, but yeah, it looks like there are a few plots around the Oakvale Woodlands, but I don't see anything in particular that's like too deep. As far as like where this new boss might be, like Serpent Queen Megara, I can only really speculate. It could be my first guess might be this little fortress looking thing. Usually bosses are in like more prominent buildings, so like for example with Adam, like he's up here, right, in this like kind of castle. You know, but then again, we also have other stuff here, like for example, little towns and cities and things like that. So it's hard to know for sure. It could also be this little fort area, or this even. So who knows? Not really sure. We also have, unfortunately, we have not seen any additions to the Hollowed Mountains. I know that's something that people talk about a lot. They're like, oh man, I want, you know, more space in the Hollowed Mountains. I totally second that. Mostly because I like to have like, you know, snow castles, like snowy castles with a wintry vibe, you know, it's kind of nice. So yeah, very nice. I like that we finally have a map now as far as where all this stuff is located, so looks good. I haven't noticed any like changes to anywhere else on the map really, except for maybe this area here, and it looks like there's 3 different ways to get to the Oakvale Woodlands here. So you have a path through North Gloomrot, a path that's kind of at the intersection of North Gloomrot and Silverlight Hills, and then you have a Silverlight Hills exclusive pathway from what it looks like to me. So yeah, that's kind of interesting. All right, let's go back to the update. Far to the northwest of a continent in the constant throes of conflict, an idyllic woodland sits for centuries undisturbed. The conflict between the Transcendum in Gloomrot and the Church of Luminance in Silverlight Hills would rarely, if ever, see the need to intrude on these verdant territories. A path somewhere beautiful. Oakvale has long since been a place gripped by pristine and unbothered nature, with one exception, the Great War. Dracula's thirst for power spread across the continent, and even here, the land felt its greedy claws sink into its soil. Centuries have passed since then. Moss and roots have reclaimed the battle-scarred reaches, claiming blade, armor, and bones in the name of tranquility. A peaceful bastion, the half-forgotten memories of the conflict are remembered only in the crumbling ruins of vampire castles, now home to discreet wildlife. A rare haven spared from the creeping horrors that plague every other inch of Vardoran, the struggling inhabitants of other lands have been content to leave this edge of the known world slumber. All right, so this is the waterfall that we saw, I think, in the trailer before the previous one. When I say the previous one, I know that's like very vague, right? But we've already seen this in one of the trailers. By the way, guys, about 2 days ago, there was an Invaders of Oakvale launch trailer. This trailer, I decided not to do a breakdown because it's mostly a lot of the same stuff. I highly recommend you guys check it out though, because it is pretty neat. So really nice trailer. I'm gonna leave a link to that in the description below as well. There once was a village of proud warriors. It was small, remote, and of little significance. To the world, they held no power, no wealth, and no reason to be remembered. A coastal jewel, polished and precious, they lived their days in a simple and practiced cadence. It is a cold truth that a fated day can begin like any other. So it was on that day. Megara the Serpent Queen. From the mists of great witch Megara emerged, her origins unknown, her presence an omen. The villagers, wary but fearless, quickly rallied for battle. Megara answered their display with one of her own, one she knew they would understand. Drawing on unspeakable black magic, she performed a display of power so overwhelming that it crushed all hope of resistance, driving even the most stout-hearted champion to their knees. To them, she spoke. I am your queen. The greatest half of you will become my first subjects, and will walk by my side. Come dusk, each of you that are holding the heart of one of your neighbors will earn your place. The alternative, of course, required no explanation. Those who obeyed became the first Venom Blades, worthy of receiving the dark magical secrets of Venom sap, so that they may further empower the Witch Queen. With her new minions, she began her march across the world, laying waste to every land she touched. Every verdant landscape she reduced to shriveled ruin fed her strength, and with every conquest, her great shadow grew longer and her reach further. A venomous touch. Megara the Serpent Queen is ruin incarnate, ravaging everything in her path and feasting upon the natural life to satiate her hunger for power. A hunger that cannot be quelled, and thirst that cannot be quenched. With every act of devastation, her desire only swells. All hail the Serpent Queen. The Venom Blades! Alright, let's get into that. Though they began as little more than a handful of villagers, the Venom Blades have traveled far and wide and consumed, integrated, and absorbed bits and pieces of the many cultures they've devastated. With each conquest comes a new legion of warriors willing to bow, scrape, and fight for their continued existence. Megara welcomes them all who will dedicate themselves to her wholly, folding them into the ever-growing ranks of her army. All right. United in savagery. We've seen this image before. All right. Soon they all learn the most sacred edict of the Venom Blades. Serve at the pleasure of the Serpent Queen. As long as it serves Megara's purpose, no treachery is forbidden. Infighting and cruelty are not merely tolerated, but encouraged as instruments of her will. This ordained chaos, coupled with their reckless lust for battle, brings staggering losses. Yet to the Serpent Queen, such attrition is not simply accepted, it is invited. The unworthy are cast aside, and there are always more realms to conquer, more shattered souls to mold into faithful supplicants. The Venom Blades sail from shore to shore, arriving with massive ships, which they tear apart on land to raise temporary camps, structures, and strongholds. When the land lies broken behind them, what remains is more than enough to forge new vessels and move on to their next raid. They do not look back. They do not stop until the work of ruin is done. All right. Foremost among their duties is the ritual harvesting of Venom sap, a magical resource drawn only through the corruption and ruthless bleeding of infected trees. The process is virulent, seeping into nearby plant and animal life like a sickness. The Venom Blades do not mind. In truth, they prefer it. Their purpose is not preservation, but absolute destruction. Carving symbols of corruption. Looks like we have some guys here just chilling, and we have this one guy looks like he's carving into this tree, so that's pretty nasty looking. All right, continuing. Once the ritual is complete and the trees are fully corrupted, swollen with venom sap, they are felled, collected, and drained dry. This grisly process is overseen by Stavros the Carver, a fanatical servant of the Serpent Queen, and unquestionably murderous psychopath. Wow. Few among the Venom Blades dare to consume Venom Slap directly, yet alone wield it in its raw, volatile form. Stavros is no ordinary zealot, though bold may not be the correct word for what he is. Oh, okay, all right. So apparently he consumes the stuff? That's great. I guess it makes sense. You know, I thought this was like paint. Like when we first saw this character, I always thought that this was like paint, but it looks like this is just like gross goo or venom sap or something. That's pretty nasty, actually. Wow. Stavros in his element. There we go. Harvest it all. Wow. This is really, really gross. You can see the corruption going through the roots and stuff. It reminds me a lot of Southern Gloomrot. And how like a lot of the, you know, mutations and stuff like that, it's just, you know, it's a similar kind of idea, but in a very different form. So it's kind of interesting. From there, it is sent to be refined and mixed with other materials in techniques pioneered by some of Megara's most faithful followers. Among these brilliant minds is Lucile the Venom Alchemist, who mixes traditional alchemical techniques from her home with the incredible chaotic nature of venom sap to make never-before-seen concoctions. She claims to gain divine inspiration from her queen, but that may just be the chemical fumes at work. All right, so we finally got a picture of this boss. This is the one we saw in the trailer before the last trailer, so the one before the launch trailer, right? The one that I went through. That particular trailer, I remember there was this one boss that I was like, oh, wow, I guess they're like an archer of some kind, but look, they're in like, you know, they're surrounded by potions. Maybe they're like an alchemist. I guess I was right on that prediction based on context clues and stuff. And yeah, so it looks like we got a full body picture of them. Interesting. All right. Looks like they have some processing going on here. That's pretty gross. All right. Similarly, the obsessive weapons master, Dantos the Forgebringer, combines his knowledge of metalwork with Megara's dark magical techniques to shape enchanted metals in a masterful fusion of destruction and creation. He has discovered a way to carve through magically imbued items, melting them down, unraveling their enchantments, and reforging them into weapons of his own wicked design. Looks like we also now have a full body picture of what looked to be a blacksmith in some of the trailer footage that we've seen lately. Super cool. We finally know his name. All right, so nice. All right. Next we have... Let's see. The majority of venom sap, however, is brought directly to Megara herself within a sanctum of her own making. The Serpent Queen conducts an unending ritual, bathing in the raw power, draining it into her body with a hunger that knows no end. Wow. Oh man, it looks like this. This is kind of funny. I'm gonna actually zoom in here. So it looks like this particular unit right here might be of higher blood quality or something. But, I mean, good luck trying to capture this guy when you're surrounded by all of this. I feel like the boss will kill it before you have a chance to capture it. That's funny. That's hilarious. All right, moving on. As long as the Venom Blades fulfill their purpose and do not disappoint her, they are permitted to live, and now they do so gladly. So long have they been under the sway that most do not remember life before. Theirs is the path of bloodthirsty raiders, harbingers of ruin, fanatics forged in venom and flame, bound to a singular sacred purpose. Serve the Serpent Queen in life, or serve her in death. The invasion draws near. Oh, nice. So we got some nice little artwork. Very nice. I really like this. I love the way that these weapons look in this artwork. I also really like the art style of this game, like just the aesthetic and everything. It's just so nice, you know. I don't know, something about it calls to me. Oh, here we go. Calling all vampires. With April 28th fast approaching, that means update 1.1 Invaders of Oakvale is right around the corner, and with it, the perfect time to pick up V Rising for yourself and your friends. There will be a massive 50% sale for the base game on Steam. Join and hunt together with friends, grow your army of darkness, and set foot into Oakvale to experience the cruel ferocity of the Venom Blades for yourself. Wow. Okay. It looks like that was it. But yeah, in case you guys aren't familiar with some of these weapons here, we have the claws and the twin blade. These weapons were shown in a previous devlog. I'll link my playlist to a bunch of devlogs and stuff, so if you need to catch up or if you're new to the game and you kind of want to know a little bit more, I have a lot of other videos you guys can watch that goes over a lot of this information. So I'm going to leave a link to that either in the description below or here in the video. Anyway, I'm just kind of wondering, what are you guys thinking about all of this? I mean, we have, I'm not gonna, like I said before, I'm not gonna do like a big, rundown of this particular video, but yeah, we have, of course, this trailer was really nice that came out a couple days ago, just showing a lot of the environmental stuff, giving us an idea of what to expect in this new area. And most of the stuff we saw here was from the new area, at least it looked like it. So yeah, really nice, really cool. They show some of the newer stations and stuff like that too, that they've talked about in previous devlogs. So yeah, I highly recommend checking that out if you haven't already, just watching it in its full glory. But yeah, I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Is there anything here that you wish they went over? What do you think about the lore that we just got? All that information. I think it's pretty neat. I like that we finally got like the names of some of these bosses. So that's pretty neat. But yeah, super cool. I really like what I'm seeing here. In case you guys are new to the channel, my name is SholoQ. I stream 3 times a week on Twitch, Kick, and YouTube. And you can find me on various social media here and there. As far as my schedule for next week, my plan is to play V Rising all next week. So if you guys are interested in watching some gameplay for Invaders of Oakvale and that kind of stuff, or just watching me go through on Monday, I'm just gonna do regular progression. On Tuesday, my plan is to try out some of the building and see like what some of the new furniture items and stuff like that are. So I'm going to be doing a little bit of castle building on Tuesday after my normal stuff, and then on Wednesday we're just gonna figure out what else we're gonna do there. I might continue story progression and stuff like that. I'm not really sure yet, but I am going to be streaming next week. Usually my schedule is at 6 p.m. on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. That shouldn't change for next week, but if anything, just keep an eye out for a schedule in the community posts or community tabs section of my channel. Anyway, if you liked the video, please leave a like, share, and subscribe for more V Rising content. And as always, Sholo out.